At Sea Green, we have the knowledge and experience you need to have a healthy lawn. Tune in weekly for our lawn care tip of the week with Joe Coyle. For a free estimate, call us at 859-756-3379 or visit us at seagreenlawn.com. Call today and see green tomorrow.
Good morning. It's February 5th, 2013. I'm Joe Coyle, and this is your lawn care tip of the week. Today, I want to talk a lot about the proper height to cut your grass. Mowing practices for tall fescue and bluegrass in this region of Kentucky we're in. Most lawns here should have a tall fescue and not even a bluegrass. However, there are some lawns that do have bluegrass. A lot of the sod companies around here still grow bluegrass turf. So let's get into talking about grass height today. Have you ever seen a guy, maybe your neighbor or a friend, he's got a really pretty grass, and then he gets on his lawnmower and he mows it, and when he's done mowing it, it looks terrible. Brown, yellow in spots. This guy has probably dropped his lawnmower blades lower than he should have dropped them, basically scalping the grass. When you scalp the grass, you're not leaving any leaf surface, so the grass can't absorb light and do photosynthesis, and it actually stresses the grass out. It allows for sunlight to hit the soil and help to dry out the soil. It also gives light to the weeds that may be in the soil, where if the grass was high and thick, it would be shaded, and the light wouldn't get down there for weeds to grow. So I want to talk about grass height today. Here in Kentucky, with tall fescue, your typical grass height is going to be in between 3 to 4 inches. There's two types of people who seem to resist this notion. The first is the type of guy that thinks he wants a lawn or a golf course in his lawn, mainly a putting green of bent grass, when in all actuality he's got clay soil and he's got tall fescue. So he cuts his grass down to a half an inch, thinking that it's going to look like a golf course. He hires a lawn company to come out and take care of that lawn, and then when his lawn goes backwards on him and starts to fail and becomes full of weeds, he wants to blame the lawn service company, basically because he's doing the wrong thing. What I always tell this type of guy is, if you want to change your soil and bring in the proper soil to have a putting green, and then put some bent grass down, then you can have a putting green in your front yard. But until you do that, you have tall fescue, you have clay soil, and your best bet is to mow that grass at 3 inches and water it, because in the summer, if you have no irrigation, that clay is basically going to dry out, and you're going to have lots of drought damage. So that's one type of guy. The other type of guy that mows his yard too low is the guy that doesn't want to mow his yard. So he drops the lawnmower blades all the way to the ground, and this stuff is growing like crazy. It's spring. Goes out there and really fast, about as fast as he can, with the lawnmower blades dropped all the way, he mows his grass. And this makes it so he doesn't have to mow the grass again for another 2 weeks, because it's not going to get up to 4 inches again for another 2 weeks. He might even be the guy that lets it go to 6 or 7 inches. So he waits until he absolutely has to, until his neighbors are complaining that his grass is up too high. He goes out and he mows the grass and just chops it down to the ground, leaves all the clippings, which are way too high, and that smothers out some pieces of grass, while the grass he's left behind is just too short and it can't survive. He's letting all the weeds in, just like the other guy who's actually doing it because he thinks it makes his yard look better. So the grass height. We need to talk about how high to mow the grass and when. So we'll start with spring. In the springtime, the temperatures are fairly cool, and you get a lot of moisture. So at this time of the year, you should probably mow your grass to 3 inches. 3 inches is a really good height. You could let it grow up to 3.5 inches, and then drop it down when you mow to 3 inches, and not go below 3 inches. When you get towards the summer a little bit, you might want to start cutting it at 3.5 inches. When you're in between spring and summer, let's say May, the temperatures start coming up and it starts to dry out a little bit. Give it another 1/2 inch. This lets more light come into the grass. for photosynthesis. It improves the immune system of the grass. It shades the soil from the heat and the elements, and really just helps with the color altogether. As you get into summer, let's move that blade on the lawnmower up to 4 inches and let it kind of sit there. If the grass isn't really growing, don't mow it. You get a lot of lawn companies coming out because they're on a contract and they're going to mow your grass every week no matter what because it's on the contract. Well, sometimes your grass just doesn't need mowing, and it does more harm than good to mow it. If you have one single blade of grass out there that's growing 6 inches and the rest of it's 4 inches, you can go out there by hand and pull that out. I'm not trying to cut the business out for the lawn mowing guys. I know they need the money, but seriously, we don't need to be mowing the yard when it's not even raining out and the yard's in total drought stress. It's ridiculous. So in the summer, keep this grass mowed at 4 inches. Never, ever, ever, any time of the year, try to mow more than a half an inch, maybe an inch tops at one given time. If your grass shoots are growing so fast that you have to mow it twice a week at a half an inch cut off the top every time, that's fine. Mow it twice a week. If you can't get out there to mow it twice a week and you're paying a lawn care company to come out and fertilize and treat it and all that, maybe you shouldn't be paying a lawn care company to come out and treat it, or maybe you should hire a professional lawn mowing person to come out and mow that twice a week for you. It just depends on the growing season too. But I would make sure in certain times of the year, in the summer, there's times you don't even need to mow it. Unless it's a rainy summer here in Madison County, then you tend to get a lot of growth, and it does need to be mowed. But, in the contracts for the lawn mowing guys, if you sign a contract that says, okay, I'm going to pay this lawn mowing guy this much to mow my grass, well, there could be times when it doesn't need to be mowed, and if you feel like you're going to let him mow it just so that you can pay him because you feel bad, well, just give him the money and say, hey, could you wait till next week? I understand, you're on a contract, and let's just wait till the next week, and here's your check for not mowing my grass. I don't know, maybe that's silly, maybe it's not. I don't personally go out and do any lawn mowing for people. I just know a little bit about how to mow a yard. Now, when you come into fall and you've got more rainfall, the temperatures are starting to drop again. You want to start to drop that height of your grass down again, maybe 3.5, 3 inches, depending on the temperatures and rainfall. And if the grass is growing again, if the colors come back to your grass, if you've got an unirrigated yard that didn't have any water and it's starting to rain again and you got good color, go ahead and drop that down to 3.5 to 3 inches. As you get more into fall, get it down to 3 inches. Now, for the final cut of the year, I'd suggest going to 2.5 inches, basically, just for the last cut of the year. It's the only time I'd suggest going below 3 inches. This should encourage some root growth over the winter and help you out significantly come the next spring. Some of the benefits to keeping your grass mowed the way I suggested, I touched on it a little bit, is when you keep your grass high, you have shade to the soil. And shading the soil helps to retain moisture in the soil during a drought. It also helps to block sunlight from getting down to the soil, which helps weeds germinate, basically. So by keeping your grass high, you're actually helping to prevent weeds in your lawn. You're keeping the soil cooler, which is healthier for the grass, and retaining moisture in the soil. And keeping the grass high, you have more leaf surface, which helps with the photosynthesis. And the photosynthesis helps with the immune system of the plant. Therefore, all around, keeping your grass high, hence tall fescue, it likes to be high, just makes for an all-around healthier lawn. Okay, well, there's a few things we can do to measure our yard. You can use any ruler, a school ruler, even your tape measure. You might keep that in the garage or maybe in your kitchen drawer. If you go out there to the lawn and measure the grass height from the soil and then measure to the highest marking on the grass after you've mowed it, then you can say, okay, I've mowed my grass to 2.5 inches. I need to raise my lawnmower up a half an inch or an inch. Whatever you do, don't depend On the actual lawnmower indicator marks saying, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, in most cases those things aren't correct. And even if they are correct, it matters basically. Even if your tires are low, those things won't be correct. If you've got too much air in your tires, they won't be correct. So never ever look at that as being 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch. Look at that as a level that you can indicate to yourself after you've measured your grass that, okay, if I have this set at 5, I'm mowing my grass to 3.5 inches. If I have this lawnmower set at 6, I'm mowing it to 4 inches. That's how I look at it. Basically, on my lawnmower, it's a Cub Cadet, and I usually mow about 5 on the indicator mark, which to me is 3.5 inches. And in the summertime, when it gets hot and dry, I'll mow at the level 6, which is the highest level setting on my lawnmower. And that typically comes out to be 4 or 4.5 inches. Haven't actually gone out and checked myself. I just know where I want my grass mowed to. So I hope that helps you. Any tape measure, any ruler, anything that has inches marked on it, but make sure you put it down to the soil, not measuring on top of the grass. That'll take away some of your height. So, thank you for tuning in. My name's Joe Coyle. This was Sea Green's Lawn Care Tip of the Week. And remember, call today, Sea Green tomorrow, 859-756-3379, or look us up on the web at www.seagreenlawn.com.